Previously on Minecraft, I took on the 3 bosses, the Wither, the Ender Dragon, and the Elder Guardians, all in one big boss rush, collecting all of the late game items and powering up my base with a beacon. Anyways, let's get on with the video.
So I decided that I wasn't satisfied with the singular beacon I had, so I fought more with the skeletons.
How the fuck did you get?
Ended up dying over 10 of my levels, which unfortunately I didn't get on camera, and took on more withers. With the 5 extra withers killed for their stars, I made 5 more beacons and completed my full beacon, which, like before, I had no problems powering. I decided to put them right between my melon and pumpkin farm, which I put underground so that it would reach when I needed to mine, though I'll probably eventually have a designated mine to use instead of a hole in the wall, plus by doing this it doesn't reach far above ground, so I'll move it eventually, but for now it lives below ground. I also chose to dye the beams with some stained glass, green for the melons and orange for the pumpkins, which made them stand out a bit. I like the idea of my major landmarks being marked by beacons, so this might end up catching on. On today's agenda, I want to make a mob farm. Right now I have a shitty creeper farm, which works, don't get me wrong, but I want to upgrade. So today, I'm going to build a massive mob farm, covering all mobs and providing very good rates, decorated to look like an alien UFO. So I loaded my schematic and placed it over where my old creeper farm was. The idea of it is that the mob farm will be in the UFO, and the mobs will drop out of the abduction hole to fall to their death. Now, for this build, I was going to need a lot of light grey wool. Why? Because I hate myself. If I knew then what I know now, I would have used a different block and held off making anything with wool until I had a fully automatic wool farm at my disposal. I went out looking for light grey flowers, which were thankfully pretty close to my base, and I dyed all of my sheep light grey. Over the course of this video, I'm going to come back to shear these to get the wool I need. I need a lot of it, so this is going to be a long process, which is why I'm getting it over and done with sooner rather than later. Yeah. I mean, no fucking much sense. Fucking hell. After that stupid, embarrassing death, I began mining up all of the stones I'd need. I was using a combination of stone, cobblestone, and andesite. Stone and cobblestone were easy enough, just mine what was around with both Silky Steve and Lucky Larry respectively, but andesite was a bit more interesting. I could mine individual veins of andesite, which would work, don't get me wrong, but it's not the only thing I could do. Some may not know that andesite can be crafted using diorite and cobblestone, so I can convert the ugly, useless diorite that I mined with the extra cobblestone that I mine to make the andesite that I need. Simple and effective. With all of the mining over and done with, I had all the shulker boxes that I needed. Next up on materials I needed was oak planks. I mainly chose these as they're an easily farmable block that can be used for whatever. So I set up another orchard as I destroyed my other one in episode 2 and farmed up all of the planks that I'd need. After I had all of the planks sorted, it was time to move on to the colour blocks. Firstly, we'll tackle bamboo planks. They're pretty easy to farm as bamboo takes no time at all to grow and is easily farmable, but do I look like someone who wants to build a farm and wait around? Anyways, I headed out to the nearby jungle and collected as much bamboo as I could, crafting it up into bamboo planks until I had enough for the build. Before I tackle the other colour blocks, I figured I'd go to the nether and grab some glowstone, and it was only here that I realised how completely and utterly painful glowstone is to farm naturally. There's a pattern here I'm noticing. There's not really any other light blocks I can use in its place, so I'm just gonna have to stick this one out and try and manage. I will build a guardian farm eventually, but for now I'm gonna have to use glowstone. It's not gonna be visible on the final build, so I just need it for the light. I then tackled the black concrete, which basically just consisted of slaughtering some innocent squids and mashing it together with some sand and gravel. I have a data pack that allows me to put concrete powder in a cauldron to solidify it, and honestly, after using it, I don't think I could ever play without it. It's so useful and saves so much time. If you don't like it, cool. Anyways, that's the black concrete taken care of. I then gathered up all of my deep slate, hoping that would be enough. Though I probably should have hoped in one hand and shat in the other to see which one filled up faster, as I was short by pretty much all of it. So I took to deep slate to get some more, which, might I add, even with an efficiency 5 haste 2 netherite pickaxe, still doesn't insta-mine, which made this process so fucking painful. Genuinely, I need to use easier materials. And finally, I had enough deep slate tiles. Surely that's enough of the difficult materials to gather, right? I mean, I'm still gathering the light grey wool on the side, which is painful as hell, so it's by far the end of it. Yay. I gathered all of the redstone stuff, some of which I had left over from the melon and pumpkin farms, so it was easy enough. Though I am running out of redstone, so another mining session is probably due. The fuck do you mean? I barely even fell! Right, enough dying. Time to tackle the yellow blocks. Yellow concrete I basically had everything for already, aside from the yellow dye. Yellow dye is easily farmable with bone meal and a sunflower, but I don't have a sunflower. So I set out to go and look for one, which I eventually found, snagged, and bone mealed back on my base to get all of the dyes that I'd need for the yellow concrete. With that though, all of the materials are collected. Well, aside from the wool, but that's getting quite close. Plus I'd rather start on the build sooner rather than later. I started by tearing down my old creeper farm, which for some reason the replay mod broke for me, and it didn't seem to like saving any of my replays, so all my replays for this video were lost. Brilliant. I'll have to look into a fix for it, but until then my building will be in first person. While tearing it down though, I noticed something interesting. Hold on. Fucking ocean monument. The one I tackled was over here. There's another one literally right fucking here. I've never seen two ocean monuments so fucking close to each other. Jesus Christ. To not spoil anything, all I'll say is that for future projects I want to have an Elder Guardian, so I'm glad I won't have to travel to South Korea to get one. Anyways, with the creeper farm taken down, I decided to start work on the build. First on the agenda is to build the actual mob farm. How this farm works is that there are 10 spawning platforms for the mobs to spawn on. Due to the placement of the farm being high up and in the middle of the ocean, the only available place for mobs to spawn will be in the farm. So the mobs will all spawn on the spawning platforms. Water will periodically flow onto these platforms through rigged dispensers, which will push these mobs off the platform and into the water pool below, where the mobs will be pushed down to the hole and will be killed to full damage. This is a farm I think is a must-have in your world, which is why I wanted to build one sooner rather than later. I lost a bunch of footage of the UFO construction, so I have to start this footage here a bit late. So I'll show you the construction while I tell you the story of Kayla, a scientist with a hyperfixation on the unknown. Kayla was a quiet kid, one that was typically ignored by her peers in school, and her teachers never saw much in her. She had good grades, but never contributed, and didn't seem to really care all too much about her studies. She passed her tests and exams with flying colours, mostly due to her good luck and retaining information naturally. This was the case for all but one subject: physics. Kayla's physics teacher, Mr. Steer, was a strict man. He had strict rules, and a lot of his students didn't like him. There was dead silence in his classroom, and this was something that bothered Kayla a lot. She got by in his classes by hiding her wireless headphones under her long hair and listening to music. At one point in a particularly dull class, one of the popular guys arrived late to the lesson. While Mr. Steer would try to silence the boy, he took no interest in obeying the rules of the classroom. He was talking to everybody about the possible existence of extraterrestrial life. The class all seemed interested, however Mr. Steer forced everyone to get on with their work silently. The thought interested Kayla, however. After class ended, she attempted to get more information off of the popular guy, however was brushed off for being too weird and too nerdy. Kayla took matters into her own hands. For For the next few months, she cared about nothing more than the existence of extraterrestrial life and what could exist outside the confines of the known universe. While her performance in school may have suffered, her interest came first. It kept her happy, and that's what she cared the most about. She crafted a theory, based around her research, possible sightings, corpses located, and strange communications. Kayla had even found the article detailing the exact events that the popular guy bursted into her physics lesson to ask about. With her information, she took to Mr. Steer, her only option, to ask about the feasibility of her theory. While Mr. Steer was strict in the classroom, it turns out he was a lot calmer outside of it. When the annoying popular kids weren't making a scene where he could see it, Mr. Steer felt like he could breathe. Kayla, being quiet, meant that Mr. Steer was a lot more inclined to help her with her theory crafting. While the possible sightings and corpses located were proven hoaxes, the recent articles and strange communications have yet to be proven wrong. Something seemed a bit different about these. Not only were they recent, but even the most trusted sources were talking about the recent sightings. When Kayla got home, she dug out her dad's old telescope and set it up right outside her bedroom window. While looking around, she saw nothing. She did this for a few weeks, but continuously found nothing. She thought about something Mr. Steer said. If there are otherworldly life, chances are it will look vastly different to the ones we've come to expect. Popular media depicts it all the same. If they exist out there, it will likely be a bit more biological, potentially looking similar to the life we have on Earth, unlike the little green men or the one-eyed blobs we've become accustomed to. I'd also be very surprised if a typical UFO is sighted. If we find anything, or if anything visits us, the look of it will surprise us. Kayla realised that if she was going to see any aliens or UFOs, she was going to have to take a different approach. She took the telescope down and set up microphones instead. While visually things may seem different, audible cues are inescapable. Tracking any extraterrestrial life through audio would prove to be a lot more effective than looking for something that seemed atypical. However, that night, all the thoughts and ideas would be proved to be overdone. Kayla would wake up that night to pitch darkness. She called out for her parents, however didn't get a response. She turned on her bedside lamp to see that everything was fine, aside from the lack of moonlight. Looking at her window, she saw a large object blocking the moon. Confused yet intrigued, Kayla quickly put some shoes on and headed outside. The object flew silent, blocking all life from entering the neighbourhood. After a while of standing outside, beneath the large object, it disappeared. The neighbourhood was swarmed with aliens. Mrs. Steele was right. The aliens were different to how they were depicted. They appeared as long, green beasts with 4 legs, equipped with self-destructive weaponry. Kayla quickly ran inside and locked the door. She hid under her table, covering herself with a blanket, and tried her best to not alert the aliens with any sound. She managed to survive the night, and in the morning, news sources worldwide talked about the invasion of aliens that night. In the morning, the aliens seemed to have disappeared. However, Kayla's school and most others worldwide would still close for safety reasons. The following night, the aliens would return, this time without the light-blocking object floating in the sky. Night after night, they'd return, and as time went on, humans made peace with them being a part of their ecosystem. No one knows why they came to Earth. No one knows what they want. But after the discovery that they're deterred by light and afraid of cats, the invasion became more manageable. Now, they are just known as the well-known species, named the Creeper. Honestly, that lore may be a bit rough, but for some reason it was making me want to off myself writing it, so I just wanted to get it done. I don't know what bothered me, it just did. Anyways, the UFO is finished and looks incredible. This is the biggest structure I've built so far, and it's only going to get bigger. But we aren't done. Far from it, in fact. I have one more thing I want to do with this build, which is add some lights using sea lanterns. I was going to need a lot of them, so to do this, I think I'm going to use a trident. Oh. So I set out to the oceans and looked for some tridents. Oh my god, first try! Let's go! I got my first one really quickly, but decided I wanted 2. One for loyalty and channeling, the other for Riptide. So I decided to go look for another, which took the piss to drop. But it happened eventually. Yes! Yes! I got another fucking trident. I then went home with my tridents, enchanted them with their respective enchants, and added unbreaking and mending to them. I named the loyalty one Loyal Bitch, and I named the Riptide one Zoomy Fork. I then set out for the ocean monument to collect up all the prismarine. And I've said this a lot in today's video, and I'm gonna say it again. If I'd known then what I know now, I would have not done this yet. Prismarine is a bitch to get without an efficient guardian farm, and I'm sure that glowstone probably would have worked equally as well, so I don't know why I put myself through this. but I did. And with that, the final touches of the UFO are complete, and the build is fully finished. I'm super proud of how this came out. It came out exactly how I hoped it would, and it's a very welcome addition to the world. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button and share with a friend if you think they'd be interested. And until next time, goodbye.